What is up, everyone, and welcome to some more F1 23 My Team career mode. We have just 6 races left in Season 3 before we start Season 4, which I'm hoping will be the season that we make a push for the title. At the moment, we are currently gunning towards 100 championship points to meet that sponsor objective, and we're also going to try and reach a sort of bonus objective that I've set for us of finishing 6th in the Constructors' Championship ahead of Alpine. We're currently about 30 points down on them with just 6 races to go. That means that we're going to need to outscore them by an average of about 6 points per race, which is not going to be easy, but I reckon we can do it. I believe that there is going to be a regulation change announced in this race weekend as well, because there was a sort of hint towards it in the previous video that you might remember. They said it was definitely going to affect the aero department, but I don't know what else it will feature, if it features anything at all. We'll have to wait and find out. They're warning us about high cash balance, but there's not really much we can spend our cash on now. I was thinking about maybe doing the final department upgrade that I wanted to do for now in the durability department, but I think I'm gonna hang fire on that until the start of next season. Because 1, obviously we've got to adapt this regulation change, but 2, I want to be able to afford the teammate that I would really like to sign for the next season, which I'm not going to tell you who that is yet, but I do have a short list of sort of 2 or 3 candidates I'd really like to bring into the team, and we'll go over those during the sort of end of season recap video, as it were. But now we have reached that point where we've sped through all of the sort of events that are happening over the course of the downtime between 2 race weekends. But now we're here ready for the race weekend proper. I don't really know how I feel about this one, you know. I think that we have a pretty good chance of doing quite well here. You know, we've got that maximum upgraded car, of course. All the performance upgrades are there. It's just durability we're lacking in a little bit now. And yeah, here we go. Definitely a regulation change happening, and we'll check our messages to see which departments this is going to affect. If it's anything more than just aero, it's definitely going to be aero. It says 19 more parts there, which, yeah, you can see it's only aero. Interesting. I was fully expecting this to affect 2, maybe 3 departments, but no, it is literally just only aero. So yeah, it should be nice and easy to adapt all of our parts for this one. I don't know if we'll be able to do all of them right now, but certainly within 6 races, 6 practice sessions, we should develop enough resource points to be able to adapt all of these parts, and more potentially as well if we need to. But there isn't really going to be much else to adapt. What that does mean is that staying with our engine supplier for the following season isn't going to change too much, but I still think I am going to switch, just for the sheer fact that I've kind of had enough with this Renault power unit not really being up to snuff, and also, you know, it's failed on me quite a lot. I don't know necessarily, maybe the Mercedes, where I'm planning to go, isn't going to be that much better, but we will see. Maybe there'll be an even better power unit to go for, who knows. But I think at the moment Mercedes is the one that I've been thinking about going for, and I guess we'll just compare it to Ferrari and Honda. I'm more interested in durability than anything, but we do need to focus on performance a little bit as well. Speaking of performance, what a practice session this was for us. 2nd and 4th, Dennis Hauger doing an absolutely magnificent job. You know, he was significantly faster than quite a few other people. Obviously, he was outpaced by Norris in the McLaren. Interesting that only 3 people in that session decided to go for a soft compound run. You would think, given that we've only got 1 practice session before qualifying, it is of course a sprint weekend, that people would want to capitalise on the running and try and get at least 1 soft compound run in practice. But no, they've opted not to. So maybe we'll be slightly more prepared for the qualifying than our opponents, but we will see whether that is true or not, because it is now time for us to get into qualifying for the United States Grand Prix in Texas. And yeah, I don't know what the target is going to be here. I think probably at least sort of top 5, that kind of thing. You know, we've got basically a fully maxed out car for all intents and purposes. Durability doesn't add anything to the performance of our car. It just reduces the likelihood that we're going to have any mechanical failures or anything like that, which, you know, is obviously important. And also reduces the wear as well, which is equally important, especially in the gearbox department, because I think we're getting to the end of the life cycle of my final gearbox now, so we're definitely going to have to take a penalty in one of these races. I think it may be Mexico, the next race, as difficult as that is to admit. First flying lap on a fresh set of tyres here was a 1:32.0. I don't think that's going to be good enough. You saw we got a little bit blocked by Tsunoda towards the end of the session. Nonetheless, actually, we still managed to bag P13 with that run, but I did opt to go again because I wasn't happy with how much time we lost. You can see I made a 7/10 improvement into the 131s. It's a 1:31.3, and that was good enough for P2 in that session. So actually, maybe we have a bit more pace here than I thought we were going to have in practice. You know, I said I was gunning for top 5, but maybe I should be gunning for pole position instead. We're a couple tenths off of George Russell there. He needs a good weekend to try and get back ahead of Verstappen in the standings. And then the eliminations there were Hulkenberg, Albon, Joe, Lawson, Fittipaldi, and De Vries. No real surprises there. Sargent and Tsunoda making it through. The Haas obviously is a little bit stronger than the other cars, and Tsunoda generally has just been quite a strong performer in that Alfa Romeo for I think it's 2 seasons he's been there now. I think he went there to replace Bottas when Bottas took Hamilton's seat after he retired in season 1, if I remember correctly. But anyway, here we are in Q2 now. First flying lap was on a used set of soft compound tyres, and it was a 1:31.5. So actually a really solid run on a used set of tyres, and we immediately follow it up by doing a not so solid run on a set of fresh soft compound tyres, which you can see I'm currently down. It doesn't matter because we are in the top 10, and I think everyone else has done their runs at this point, so we should hopefully be making it through into Q3 no matter what happens. But yeah, fortunately I do manage to bring back just enough time to the point that I improve by a little bit in the final sector, but you know, we only improved by about a tenth in the end. It's not as impressive as I thought it was going to be. We crossed the line, and it's good enough in the end for P7, but I definitely want a bit more pace than that in my final run in Q3, otherwise we will not be starting where I want to be starting at all. Hauger did get eliminated there, unfortunately. He was a couple tenths off a safety. We were only 4 tenths off the top spot, so maybe not all is lost. As it was Bottas going fastest there on that occasion, actually. But Perez and Sainz are out. Perez will be disappointed with that, as that will massively limit his ability to compete in the championship. And then the other eliminations were Hauger, Gasly, Tsunoda, and Sargent. So yeah, no real surprises apart from probably Perez, I would say. Not what he would have wanted at all. But I am glad to see Pierre Gasly all the way down there in 14th. Because it means that the chances of Alpine outscoring us in this race are pretty slim, especially with me through Q3. Hopefully we can make our way further up the order than just P10, but our first flying lap on a used set of soft compound tyres was only good enough for P10. We were 4 tenths off Lando Norris in P6. I don't know how close we were to Ocon, Magnussen and Stroll, but all I know is that we are going to have to get some kind of improvement if we want any chance of being in that sort of top 5 position that I was gunning for. You can see that in P6 now is Lance Stroll on a 1:31.2, and we are currently improving by about 7 tenths. So it's looking like we're going to get into about the 1:31.0s. Maybe we'll just about slip into the 1:30s. Who knows as we come around these final few corners. Yeah, we're currently on pace for the 1:30s now, so I think that this could be good enough for a top 3, maybe even pole position. Who knows? Across the line, it's a 1:30.8. Was it good enough for pole though? No, it was P3. Okay, well that's not bad. You know, I was aiming for that sort of performance anyway. But yeah, it's a little bit disappointing. We're only a tenth off of Bottas there, so I feel like if we'd have done a slightly faster run on that fresh set of soft compound tyres at the end there, we could maybe have been challenging for pole position. You know, I've obviously had poles here before. In I think it was last year we got a pole here, if I remember correctly, and obviously that race didn't really pan out the way we wanted it to. But yeah, I mean, we can still fight from P3, right? Like we should be able to maybe make up a position or 2 off the line and try and challenge for the victory. Not that it really matters at this stage. We've only got to score 15 more points this season, and then we will have met that sponsorship objective. So we just have to have like 1 or 2 good races in these next 6, really, and we should be absolutely fine. You know, there's 2 sprint weekends. This and Brazil, obviously, both are sprint weekends. We've got Portugal, which is a track that I won at last season, of course. Vegas, which is a track that I typically perform reasonably well at. And also, you know, we've got what else have we got? We've got Mexico. That one probably won't go so well. Abu Dhabi is sort of a 50-50. But we've got plenty of opportunities, I would say, for us to for us to score those 15 points that we need to score. Maybe even Dennis Hauger will pick up some points as well. Who knows? Adapting a few more parts here. We've only got a couple left now already, so we should be absolutely fine in terms of adaptation. And now it is time for us to get into the sprint for the Texas Grand Prix.
Welcome to today's sprint. This is shaping up to be another fantastic weekend.
Fantastic weekend indeed. I hope if we can challenge down into turn 1 and maybe get ahead of Verstappen and Bottas, who are the two that I believe are starting ahead of us. I always talk too much here, so I'll try not to on this occasion. But yeah, I'm optimistic about our chances of maybe winning the sprint at least. I don't know about the full Grand Prix, but the sprint certainly I think we have a really good chance to win.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's sprint. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Robinson, Leclerc, Russell, Magnussen, Stroll, Oscar Piastri, Norris, Ocon, Perez, Sainz, Hauger, Gasly, Tsunoda, Sargent, Hulkenberg, Albon, Joe, Liam Lawson, Fittipaldi, and Nick de Vries rounds off the grid. Which of these drivers will get pole position today? We will soon find out.
Yeah, they choose to say nothing here on this occasion. Looking at Yuki Tsunoda in that Alfa Romeo, of course, and yeah, I've been really impressed with the job that he's been doing. He was contending for points quite a lot last season. Meanwhile, Verstappen starting P2, Russell starting P5. That could have big ramifications for the championship. Bottas also starting quite high. Maybe he can get himself back in the fight. Who knows? But there's a long way ahead of us in this sprint and in the Grand Prix as well.
Okay,
so
yeah,
anything could happen. Things could change quite dramatically between now and the checkered flag in the race tomorrow, quote unquote. But yeah, we will see what we can do against these guys, whether we can challenge for the victory or not. Bottas starting on those soft compound tyres. In fact, both of the Mercedes opting for soft compound tyres. I didn't think that a set of soft compound tyres were going to be able to last the full 10 laps around here. That's why I opted for the mediums. Verstappen and Leclerc agree with me. I don't know what the rest of the grid is on. But yeah, we definitely have potentially an opportunity to beat Bottas here at least. If his soft compound tyres don't last the entire duration. But yeah, we will see what we can do and whether we can win another sprint in Formula 1. It's been a while since we've been able to say that. But let's get ready to go as the lights come on. And the lights go out, and we've had a very good start compared to Max Verstappen there, and we are already challenging Bottas, in fact, down into turn 1 as well. So we're going to go around the outside. Max Verstappen moves to the outside. I don't know what he's doing there. Maybe there was someone on his inside, Leclerc or something like that. I'm not sure, but either way, he slammed into the side of us, and we have big front wing damage and also a bit of underbody damage as well. So that is going to massively hamper our performance through the S's here. And I think Verstappen might have damage as well because he's going quite slowly. So yeah, that start really did not work out for either of the two of us.
Okay, listen, don't worry about it, mate. It can happen to the best of us.
You would expect that he would have been a bit more conservative than that. I'm not sure whether he dive bombed us or whether someone was on his inside and he didn't have anywhere to go. Either way, I didn't really feel like I wasn't turning in or anything like that. I feel like I gave him plenty of room. So I don't really think that you can pin that one on me. I think that was just an unfortunate racing incident. I don't know if there was someone on his inside or what the deal was. Meanwhile, Sergio Perez is already up to P6. I don't know if you saw that or not. So he's made up, I believe, 5 positions off the start. I think he qualified P11. So that's an amazing start from him. Yeah, Verstappen definitely has some kind of damage here. You can see that he is going extremely slowly through some of these corners. I'm assuming it must be some kind of front wing damage. It seems like the left side of his front wing is fairly intact when I was looking at it there. So I don't know if it's the left side or the right side, or whether it's floor damage or what the deal is. We almost go into the back of him there. because of how slowly he's going through the corner. I wasn't expecting it. We definitely have more performance than he does at the moment, but when we get those front wings changed, who knows? Maybe he'll have a bit more performance than I do. I didn't feel like I was going to be able to hold on for 10 laps around here, so I'm going to try and do the fight back instead, I think, and get ourselves as far up the order as we can by the end of the sprint to hopefully maybe challenge for some points in the race instead. I feel like maybe it's time to write off this sprint in terms of the ability to score points.
Okay,
I don't think we're going to make up 14 positions in 9 laps. But yeah, hopefully we can get ahead of all the quote-unquote back marker teams, as I like to call them. If we can get up to sort of P14, or if we get ahead of Verstappen, then maybe P13. I think that's got to be the target for this race. There is a yellow flag ahead of us as we make our way onto lap 4 now, and that is for one of the AlphaTauris, I believe. It is Nick De Vries retiring from the Grand Prix. You can see him off the side of the circuit there. So yeah, he becomes the first retirement of the Grand Prix, and we're not going to finish 22nd. So that's encouraging. We're also pretty close to the Williamses here as well. Fittipaldi and Lawson not too far up the road. And, well, if our qualifying pace was anything to go off, we're about 3 seconds a lap faster than them. So you would imagine that I would probably catch them relatively quickly. You can see that Fittipaldi is actually holding up Verstappen now a little bit, which is going to allow me to maybe try and get a run on both of them. Certainly on Verstappen. We still do have that floor damage, of course, but it's not hampering us too much. We're definitely managing to keep pace with Verstappen, which is encouraging. And we are going to go up the inside of Fittipaldi here. We don't quite have the pace to get ahead of Verstappen. He had the DRS as well, of course. And actually Fittipaldi is fighting back against us a little bit. You know, who can blame him, of course? We are racing for true position here. It's not like there's a pit stop between us or anything like that. Me and Verstappen are genuinely down in 19th and 20th right now, and we're just trying to do what we can to fight back through the field as quickly as we possibly can and make our way up into... well, probably not a points-paying position unless something seriously wrong happens to some of the cars in front. But at least a sort of position where we can challenge for points tomorrow. Very disappointing that this has happened, but it is what it is. It's Hulkenberg pits that allows us to make up another position. I'm now in 19th with Verstappen in 18th, and we have 3 cars directly in front of us: Lawson, Sargent, Joe. We should be able to get ahead of these guys relatively quickly within the next lap or 2, I would say, although Joe is actually breaking away from Sargent here. I don't know if Sargent's got some kind of damage or something, but he's going very, very slowly compared to Zhou Guanyu. So, yeah, we're going to try an opportunistic move around the outside of Verstappen here, and wow, I definitely capitalised on the fact that he was being held up by Sargent there quite a lot to try and make that move happen. And now we are going to try and challenge Sargent as well, who was going very slowly through that corner. He held up Lawson a bit, who got a little bit out of sorts going for a move on Sargent, and that allowed us to pull off a double overtake on both of them. And yeah, a really solid set of overtakes there. 3 overtakes in the span of just about 3 corners, I think it was. So yeah, very, very happy with that one. And we're up into P16 now. We're ahead of Verstappen as well, crucially, which is something I'm very, very happy about. Because, well, I don't think it was very fair what happened to me at the beginning. And certainly wasn't my fault. I should have been ahead of Verstappen. But, you know, them's the brakes. Or, in the case of Verstappen, them wasn't the brakes.
Okay, that's us with 5
but yeah, we got ahead of Zhou Guanyu now. We're up into P15. Only a couple more positions that I want to make up on Albon and Tsunoda. Tsunoda having a pretty solid race. You know, best of the back markers, as it were, all the way up in P13. I think he was keeping Gasly honest for a while, which is why Gasly is so disconnected from my teammate Dennis Hauger, who is currently running in P11. Pretty solid from him to capitalise on the issues at the front. Looks like he might be able to challenge for points tomorrow as well. We've caught up to Tsunoda now as we make our way towards the end of lap 9. Hopefully we'll be able to overtake him before the end. It should be fairly trivial, and it certainly will be if his engine blows up into the final corner. Disappointing for Tsunoda. He only had 1 more lap, and then he would have been home and dry, but unfortunately that's how Formula 1 goes sometimes. You never know when your car is suddenly going to have a bunch of smoke pouring out the back of it. Disappointing for him, but you know, it happens, and there's not much you can do about it when it does. We're now just going to try and bring it home on the final lap of what has been a fairly action-packed sprint, I suppose. When you're down at the back with lots of slower cars ahead of you, it's pretty easy to make lots of overtakes. Maybe that's an argument for reverse grids, who knows. Certainly made this race a bit more exciting than it would have been, and this is also going to make this race a bit more exciting. Max Verstappen is challenging us for this P13 position, but we just about managed to hold him off there, and hopefully we shouldn't come under too much more pressure from him. I didn't quite have the pace to catch Gasly on this occasion. You know, he wasn't super fast compared to us, but obviously we're still nursing that floor damage. We have been for all 10 laps. So any lack of pace this time I can just attribute to the floor damage. And yeah, we did pretty well to fight our way back through the field and make our way back into P13 after that impromptu pit stop. And we crossed the line to take P13. And yeah, pretty solid result from us, all things considered. And hopefully we can work our way back into the points in the Grand Prix tomorrow. Driver of the day going Sergio Perez. Unsurprisingly, he had a very solid race. And we'll see what we can do in the next race.
And now let's take a look at the drivers' standings. Not the result our points leader wanted, but it certainly makes things interesting going forward. Well, that wraps up Sprint. All that remains is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the Grand Prix tomorrow, so make sure you join us then.
Perez take a bow from P11 to P2, a solid result from him, and getting himself maybe involved in the championship fight a bit more as well, who knows. Bottas too, with Russell struggling a little bit in that race, as well as Verstappen obviously not scoring any points. It was really an opportunity for the teammates to catch up a little bit here, and well, Norris and Piastri also scoring a few points. Obviously they are not the sort of favoured drivers for the championship by any stretch of the imagination, but yeah, this could blow the championship fight wide open with only a few races to go. Who knows, maybe we could be having another one of those seasons where the championship is open to many drivers going into the final race. But now it is time for us to get into the Texas Grand Prix.
F1 is so popular in these parts now that we race here 3 times a year, but let's give full respect to COTA, or the Circuit of the Americas if you prefer, which laid the foundations for it. It still remains the United States Grand Prix. We're racing then today in Travis County, Texas, around the 20 corners of the wonderful Circuit of the Americas. We'll be reaching speeds around 200 miles per hour here today, and there are plenty of good opportunities to pass, especially through the 2 DRS zones into turn 1 and the long back straight into turn 12. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position. Sergio Perez lines up alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Leclerc, Stroll, Magnussen, Russell, Oscar Piastri, Norris, Ocon, Sainz, Hauger, Gasly, Robinson, Verstappen, Liam Lawson, Sargent, Albon, Hulkenberg, Fittipaldi, Joe, Tsunoda, and Nick de Vries. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track. With me today, of course, is Natalie Pinkham. Why don't we kick off by discussing Max Verstappen? And we welcome Anthony Davidson to the commentary box once again. And this driver had a great win last time out. Can they carry that momentum into this one?
It's always nice to come into a Grand Prix weekend on a high, but your expectations are based much more on your practice and qualifying runs. So it's the momentum from those sessions that they'll be hoping to carry into the race today.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
I think we'll have to get very lucky here to have any chance of winning this Grand Prix, so I'm not really sure what Alex Jakes was talking about there. It would take nothing short of a modern miracle from 13th on the grid to have any chance. I do think that we're definitely going to score some points here, in no small part due to my ability to start races very, very swiftly. You've been seeing it basically all, I was going to say season, all series to be perfectly honest with you. This was, what, good, episode 65? So and I can't really think of a race that we've done where I've had any position loss on a race start. Usually I'll gain at least 1 or 2, if not more, as you've seen on many occasions, especially if you watch the TikToks or something like that. Quite often I'll make up 5, 6 positions off the start. So yeah, I think that we could conceivably challenge for sort of 6th or 7th here maybe, but we'll see what we can do as we get ready now for the lights to come on. And the lights go out as we switch to the replay camera, and we have had a good getaway compared to our teammate there. We're already up ahead of him, ahead of one of the McLarens as well, and we're going to try and sweep around the outside of as many cars as we can here. We're going to go around the outside of the Alpine and of the other McLaren as well. I believe that is Esteban Ocon and Lando Norris we've just got ahead of there. And if you can believe it, we are actually up into P6. So that was 7 positions we gained off the start there. Obviously, it was difficult to see some of them, but yeah, we are now ahead of Norris, we're ahead of Ocon, we're ahead of, I believe that is George Russell, who has had an awful start in Mercedes. One of the Ferraris, I believe, of Sainz, we got ahead of there, and then also Gasly, Piastri, and Dennis Hauger we managed to get ahead of as well. Verstappen, meanwhile, has made up nowhere near as many positions as I did, so we should have hopefully dropped him. And we're now going to try and go for a move on Kevin Magnussen if we can. But the straight line speed just doesn't seem to be there for us on this occasion. We're not quite close enough to go for a move. I was thinking about maybe going for a dive bomb. Thought better of it. I thought, you know, I don't want to crash into him. But we do dive it up the inside at the very next corner. A bit of an unorthodox overtaking position, you must say. But I mean, if it works, right? So yeah, we've gotten ahead of Kevin Magnussen there, and we are up at the P5, and all of a sudden it's looking like we're going to score 10 points or more here in this race if we can hold on to this position, but it's not going to be easy. We are starting on those soft compound tyres. We've got a few drivers on medium tyres around us, a few on soft, and yeah, now I think is about the time in the race where we want to settle into a little bit of a rhythm, hopefully, and just try and do what we can to consolidate the position we have. If we can catch Lance Stroll and Charles Leclerc, and then Perez and Bottas as well, then that would be fantastic. But my pace around here has not felt great, you know, especially as the tyre wear starts to kick in. I feel like I just kind of start to drop off a little bit, and maybe that's not surprising then that by the time we get to the end of lap 4 and begin lap 5, I am 2 seconds down on Lance Stroll in front, and Lando Norris is just a couple of tenths behind me. And by the time we make it into turn 1, he is just about a full car length in front. Maybe we can challenge him back up the inside, but I think he's just got a tiny bit too much pace to make that work, unfortunately. So yeah, Lando Norris takes 5th place off of me, and we are down into 6th. And as we're on to lap 6, end of lap 6, moving on to the start of lap 7, you can see that Kevin Magnussen is now probably within range of going for an overtake. And maybe that is because he's on those medium tyres. Maybe those are holding up a little bit better than my soft compound tyres here. We also need to watch out because the gearbox, I think, has gotten so worn now that we're into the orange territory. It should be fine, hopefully, to hold on for the remainder of this Grand Prix. But yeah, we don't want to push it too hard as Kevin Magnussen. You can see by the time we get to the DRS zone, he's almost a full second ahead of us. I don't know what it is, but we just seem to be severely lacking in pace at the moment. So yeah, really struggling. I don't know if it's the tyres or what, or maybe just, you know, maybe we picked up some damage and I didn't realise or something like that. Either way, hopefully we can just continue fighting and keep these cars behind for as long as we can. And there is a red flag. Not clear what that is for. It looks like maybe a Haas has stopped on track there. So yeah, a red flag called, and hopefully this will allow us to maybe make up some of the positions that we've lost over the course of the race, and also it will allow us to do the one stop that we were planning on doing in this race anyway. Comes a few laps earlier than planned, but I think the hard compound tyres can certainly survive 19 laps. So yeah, we have a really good opportunity to maybe once again make up quite a few positions on the start here, and we'll see what we can do as the lights come on. And the lights go out for the second time here, and this time we've had another good getaway. What bloody start is this? We're all the way up into P1. We've made up 6 positions as we thread the needle, and a safety car has been called. Sergio Perez dives up the inside, but we were definitely ahead of him, but somehow I've been given an illegal overtake, and there's another red flag. Okay, I don't know what happened there. I think Sargent retired there by the looks of things. I think he just didn't go off the line or something like that. I have no idea what happened there, to be perfectly honest with you. But yeah, that was another red flag called basically immediately off the start. Makes sense because there was a car stop in the middle of the pit lane, or not the pit lane, the pit straight, I should say. So yeah, not too surprising to see another red flag. But will we be restarting the race from P1 or P2? I feel like Perez was the one who made an illegal overtake, but somehow they gave it to me. So maybe he got past me just before the safety car was called. I don't know, but we'll see what we can do as the lights come on again. And the lights go out very quickly this time for the third time here in the Circuit of the Americas, and it doesn't seem like we've had a good enough start to challenge Sergio Perez down into turn 1. He does dive quite deep, but we can't go too tight to the inside of the corner because we did have someone on our inside there. Valtteri Bottas opting for the medium tyres here. I think it will only be a matter of time before he gets ahead of me on those superior compound of tyres. But yeah, we're going to be going to the end of the Grand Prix, 16 laps on a set of hard compound tyres. So hopefully we can make that work. Doesn't seem like there's much temperature in them in the moment, I have to say, because Sergio Perez breaking away from us very quickly and Valtteri Bottas closing us down. He's going to go for an overtake before we even get to the main sort of DRS straight that you would usually go for overtakes on. And yeah, that is Valtteri Bottas up into P2, and we have been pushed down in P3. So on the opening lap, we've actually lost position here. Not what I was expecting at all, but yeah, I guess it happens sometimes, and you just have to roll with the punches when it does. Here we are now moving on to lap 17, and we've held on to P3 pretty well. Despite the fact that we have had DRS enabled for a few laps now, we seem to just about be keeping Lando Norris at bay. Leclerc 1.3 seconds down. So I think we have a really good chance of finishing in the top 3 or 4 here. Seems like we do generally just have a bit more pace than the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc around here. So yeah, hopefully we can capitalise on that and score some big points. If we finish P3 here, of course, we will meet the sponsorship objective with 5 races to go, and there will really be an opportunity for us to catch Alpine and the constructors as well. But you know, 10 laps to go. This is not a given by any stretch of the imagination, and Lando Norris is definitely very close behind us, so a real opportunity maybe for him to try and close us down as we make our way onto lap 18. I actually, for the first time in a very long time, I haven't felt like I was struggling through these S's quite as much as I usually do. Obviously you're hearing me lift off a little bit now. That's just due to the fact that we're on old-ish hard compound tyres. We exceed track limits there. I tell you what, it's always the times when you say, I don't feel like I've struggled through this sector that much, that you have your sort of worst sector that you've driven there across the entire weekend. So yeah, maybe a little bit of a jinx there coming out from me. In any case, Norris now 4 tenths behind. We didn't have the most amazing exit from that corner, so I think he is going to try and challenge us. With the DRS, it should be a fairly trivial affair for him. He's pretty close. We're going to be wheel to wheel going into the corner, but who is going to come out on top? We go a little bit deep, and that allows Lando Norris to make the move up into P3. We tried to hold on for it for as long as we could, but in the end it was just Lando Norris's day, it seems. We now move on to the end of lap 21, starting lap 22, and you can see that Norris has broken away out of that DRS range, but Charles Leclerc has definitely stayed in DRS range of me, and he is now going to go for a move up the inside into turn 1, and well, he actually made that look even easier than it probably was for him. Yeah, it didn't seem like I fought that one at all, but to truth be told, I was just struggling quite a lot for tyre grip, and that has allowed George Russell on those medium tyres to now get involved in this fight as well. We managed to cut him off a little bit there and keep him at bay. But yeah, we're really struggling at the moment, and with only 6 laps to go, I don't think that the strong double digits points finish that we were gunning for here is necessarily a guarantee. We've got Russell and I believe Magnussen behind me in P6 and P7. So yeah, we could potentially finish this race as low as P7. Stroll as well is not too far adrift of Magnussen. So yeah, there really is not a guarantee that we are going to be finishing this race with a strong set of points. We've managed to stay with Leclerc over the course of these couple laps since he overtook us, so maybe, just maybe, we might be able to get back past him with the DRS and burning some battery and something like that. But yeah, we're not suddenly looking quite as strong as we were. It seems like the tyres have just gone off a little bit, and to make matters worse, our engine's blown up. So yeah, I guess that's the end of things. I would love to say that we deserved that, but well, you may remember in the previous race that I did say that we were maybe a little bit overdue one of these, and perhaps you could consider that to be a little bit of a jinx. We've accidentally taken out George Russell. Nothing I could do there. The AI had already taken control of my car. What that does mean is that Dennis Hauger has been promoted up into P9 with only a few laps to go, so we'll see whether he managed to score a point or two in this race. Perhaps he's going to be the one that saves us from complete humiliation. But yeah, George Russell, unfortunate for him. In the end, that means if you consider the contact we had with Verstappen in the sprint as well, we've meddled in the race of both of the championship protagonists here.
They take the checkered flag then here in Austin in what has been another fabulous Grand Prix. So, Natalie, what made the difference out there today?
Back in 2022, the new regulations came in with a promise of more wheel-to-wheel racing. That's exactly what we got today, and that has been the trend ever since their inception. Long may it continue.
Our winning drivers are on their way to the podium right now. It's been a fantastic race for McLaren, that's for sure, and no doubt they'll be celebrating tonight.
Well, I don't know what happened to Bottas and Perez, but this is your podium. It's Lando Norris, followed by Charles Leclerc, followed by Kevin Magnussen. So, yeah, a little bit of a surprise there not to see either Bottas and Perez on the podium, and a chance for them to get really involved back in the championship fight, as Verstappen was, I think, out of the points, and Russell obviously was out of the race, not fully taken by those two drivers, and, well, it certainly makes things interesting going forward from here.
And after this round of the World Championship, here's how things look in the drivers' table. So then, Natalie Pinkham, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
I think for driver of the day, I'd probably pick Lando Norris. He lived up to every inch of his reputation today, and I think he'll be going home, quite rightly, a bit proud of himself.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. Well, what an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who's joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
So a 4th place finish there ended up netting Valtteri Bottas P2 in the Drivers' Championship. We're still P7 in the Constructors' Championship. Dennis Hauger came home with a single solitary point. So, yeah, not a bad result from him, capitalising on some of the chaos that was happening in front of him. But, yeah, just 4 points separate Verstappen, Bottas and Russell at the top of the table. Sergio Perez not too far adrift of them as well, 11 points behind. And then Lando Norris as well, also potentially getting himself involved back in the championship fight. 27 points adrift. I'd say he's an outside chance, but it's not out of the question. We're going to have to really work hard now to catch Alpine in the Constructors' Championship after bottling that, but unfortunately there wasn't really much I could do. So yeah, hopefully we can bounce back stronger in the following race in Mexico, but that is going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed, please make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.